You know, in the crypto world, security is, well, it's everything. But what actually makes a network tough, like really resilient? Today, we're going to take a look at how one project, Firo, built what they call a fortress around their network. And in doing that, we're going to uncover some of the fundamentals of what makes any blockchain built to last. And that really gets us to the heart of the matter. What happens when mining, the engine behind so many blockchains, just isn't enough to keep it safe? Every single decentralized network has its weak spots, so understanding those is step one to seeing why a project's defenses are so important. All right, so it all kicks off with this idea of consensus. You can think of it as the heartbeat of a decentralized network, right? It's how everybody agrees on what's true without having a CEO or a president calling the shots. But right there, in that very process, we run into our first huge challenge, the danger of centralization. So what is a consensus algorithm, really? Well, simply put, it's the rulebook. It's the set of instructions that a global, scattered network follows to agree that, yep, all these transactions are legit and we can add a new block to the chain. Without a solid, fair rulebook, the whole thing just crumbles. See, here's the big problem you run into with a lot of the older proof-of-work systems. Super specialized, super expensive hardware, we call them ASICs, can just come in and completely dominate. And when that happens, all the mining power gets sucked into the hands of just a few giant companies, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of being decentralized in the first place. So Firo's first move, their first line of defense, is an algorithm called FiroPoW. And it was designed specifically to fight that mining centralization problem we just talked about. So the question is, how does it actually make mining more democratic? And you can see the contrast right here. It's pretty stark. On one hand, you have traditional proof of work, which almost always ends up with ASICs taking over and power getting centralized. But FiroPoW is built to be ASIC resistant. And what that means is it makes mining accessible to pretty much anyone with a decent gaming graphics card, a GPU. That one change completely levels the playing field. And look, this is way more than just some minor technical change. It's a massive economic protection. FiroPoW helps stop those hardware monopolies from forming, which naturally creates a more competitive and open ecosystem. It really sends a clear signal that this network is being built for long-term health, not just for a few big players to get rich quick. Okay, but here's the thing. Even if you solve the mining problem, the story is not over, not by a long shot. A truly secure network needs more than just fair mining. There's another, even scarier threat out there, and it requires a completely different kind of defense. And that threat, well, it's the big one. The absolute nightmare scenario for any proof-of-work chain, the 51% attack. This is when a single person or group gets control of most of the network's mining power. They can literally rewrite the blockchain's history, double-spend coins. It's a total meltdown. So how on earth do you defend against something like that? Firo's answer to this huge problem, it actually starts with a number. Over 3,900 to be exact. That's how many active masternodes are on the Firo network. Now, before we even dig into what a masternode is, just look at that number. That scale tells you that we're talking about a seriously powerful distributed second line of defense. So what are these masternodes anyway? Well, don't think of them as just computers verifying transactions. They're much more than that. They are a whole network of dedicated servers that form this critical second layer of security. They're responsible for finalizing transactions almost instantly, and they even get a say in how the network is run. And this is where the magic really happens. Firo isn't picking one security system over another. No, it's blending them. The FiroPoW mining algorithm and that huge masternode network, they work together, in sync, to create this incredibly strong hybrid security model. The whole process is actually this really smart two-step confirmation. So, step one, the miners, using their GPUs, find a new block. But, and this is the crucial part, that block isn't final yet. In step two, small groups of masternodes, called quorums, use a tech called chain locks to permanently finalize it. They essentially slam the door shut and lock it in place. And the effect of this? It's huge. Because of that second step, that masternode finalization, an attacker can't just throw a ton of mining power at the problem. I mean, even if they somehow got 51% of the mining hash rate, they still have to get past the consensus of the masternode network. It makes an attack unbelievably difficult and ridiculously expensive. So what you're really seeing here is this perfect blend. You've got the distributed hash power from all the GPU miners, And you've got the powerful lock-it-down validation from the masternode quorums. It's not just a wall. It really is a fortress, with multiple layers of defense protecting the chain from all sides. Okay, that's a lot of tech talk, but let's bring it back home. Let's get down to it. For anyone looking at a project, why should you care about any of this? What's the actual payoff for all this complicated security stuff? So what's the bottom line here? What does all this fancy security actually get you? Well, it means the risk of one of those catastrophic 51% attacks is slashed. It means the network is built from the ground up to last for the long haul. And at its core, it shows a deep commitment to that original promise of decentralization, which tells you this project is built on some seriously solid foundations. And really, that's the thing to remember. In a market this wild, where trust is probably the most valuable currency there is, seeing a project this committed to real, hardcore security, well, that's not just a nice feature. It's a massive signal about its chances to stick around for a very, very long time. So, this all leaves us with one final big question to think about. The bad guys are always getting smarter, right? The threats are always evolving. And as that happens, projects have to decide what they're truly willing to pay to defend themselves. So I'll leave you with this. What is the true price of security? And who out there is actually willing to pay it?